Good evening, Endless Ranters. Welcome back for episode 146 of your Endless Ranters podcast. Thanks for listening, watching, and subscribing. We truly appreciate the support. My name's Chris. I'm one of your hosts for this evening. I'm joined by a woman in her prime. It's Kwana. How you doing?
I like being a soggy mom better than a woman in her prime.
Really? Okay.
What's wrong with me?
Like soggy woman in her prime. Soggy mama in her prime.
Soggy mom in her prime. Oh no. What
Mom
the
or mama?
prime
You be
the
specific.
prime means like that you're would expire. I feel like I will never expire.
I like it. I like it.
Just me.
Okay. Well, I'll take some. Let me take some fake notes here.
Okay.
No, pretend like I'm right. Okay, we'll take it into consideration.
Okay.
It's a man with a plan. It's producer Manny. What's going down, old man?
Oh hell no! What's up, drone dog?
Not enough drones are up, is what I'm talking about, dog. Anyway, Robbie Spotlight is still working off those reparations from when he landed on San Francisco Rock.
Oh, Robbie.
And he started oppressing everybody over there. So.
Recently unearthed news about our own Spotlight over here.
I know. Yeah. No. No. Hold on. I forget. Did he say that San Francisco Rock landed on him, or I don't know. I don't know, man. These feminists are hard to keep track of.
Always tripping on a little shit.
Yeah. No, I think Robbie's still under the weather. He's got young kids, so he probably got better, and then he got sick again.
It's his first kid cold, right?
Yeah. Plus, he's
harder.
He's a hardworking man, that Robbie. That's right. Yeah. Anyway, let me ask you a question before we get started talking about all the nonsense. We'll have some. This is a preface to the nonsense.
It's all right, because I also have some nonsense and a life hack to share with our fans and supporters. So you go, and then I'll follow it up.
This is also a life hack.
There we go.
Oddly, you guys ever slam the door in the face of a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon or something, whatever? Like, it could be like a pest control person, whatever, before they even got a sentence out.
I gotta say, I am not built that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. They're counting on it. They're counting on it. You can change, but they're counting on it because Kwana.
I have. Good. I was raised. Well, my mother had me baptized Mormon, and once you're baptized within that religion, they seek you out. So I had to actually hire an attorney to not be Mormon in my 40s because they wouldn't leave me alone. They came on once the internet started booming, they started sending me messages on Facebook, and I was like, listen, I don't want any part of this. Can you just let them know? And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. And then I would get another message, and then letters to my house, and then people came to my door. So yes, I have cussed out a couple Mormons in my life personally, but then I hired the attorney and they left me alone.
That's a different circumstance.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I'm not even sure what I was talking about.
Just people at your door, random solicitations, that sort of shit.
Oh yeah, those people. Yeah, it happened this last weekend, and I did it. I think I do it instinctually now. Like, I don't even know I'm doing it.
Were they selling Jesus? Was it like a Jehovah's Witness? They were selling the kingdom?
Well, let me tell you how it went down, because my wife was like, who was that? And I was like, I'm not sure. And she was like, you just slammed the door in their face. And I was like,
I sure did.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? She was like, you need to, and she was looking at me like incredulous, like, you need to explain this, because I don't know, maybe she thinks it's like somebody after me or something.
Right.
She's seen Breaking Bad. Yeah. And part of that was like, I was thinking, is this the son of a bitch again? Yeah, she was like, you need to explain this. And I was like, I don't know. Like, there was a white woman. I'm not really sure. She looked like she could be like Filipino.
Bringing race into it again.
I'm just trying to describe the situation accurately. And how weird it is when people just are knocking on your door on a Saturday afternoon. Maybe it was a Saturday or Sunday, I'm not sure. But it's like a woman of like, she could be like Filipino, Asian, like half Asian, Native American, like weird, like done up in her Sunday's best.
He's like, does she look Native?
Did I? Well, yeah, yeah.
That's what we call a microaggression.
And then there was just like a black dude behind her, like, and they were both like really smiling at me really hard. And I'm already aggravated because I had to get up and go to the door.
Right.
And my deal is like, if you're not giving me something like useful, of value, like cookies to welcome me to the neighborhood, or a UPS package with something I was expecting, I'm like, what?
Why are we doing
Why is this happening? And it doesn't take me more than a couple seconds to be like, these people. And then because the lady said something, what I had said was like, look, she said something like something about an event with millions of people. And then she
heard the good news.
And then she, I didn't let her get that far. I haven't let people get that far before, but then she started like picking up, like holding like a pamphlet out like this. And I was like, no. And I just shut the door.
Love it.
And it's like, it's instinctual. And then I got like 10 minutes later, I got aggravated, like more aggravated. Like what just happened? Like,
what if it was Fauci and that black lady at your door? Would you have?
Oh, that was such a great video. That was such a.
They're not coming to our door. They're not coming to Texas. They're not coming to the land of AR-15s, like where you can legally just brandish an AR-15 at your door and like no one can do anything about it. No. They're going to like strictly unvaxxed, gun-controlled cities.
Okay.
And lying right to people's faces. Oh my God. Don't get me started.
All right.
But yeah, so I was like, that's what I do. So I'm not really even sure now, like what they're doing, if they're selling pest control, like lawn management, like whatever, weed control.
Like 3 people don't come for pest control, but 3 people definitely come to talk you into talking to animals in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. The pest control guy is usually like this like white dude, bro, that's like, hey man.
Yeah.
Hey man, I like your Sienna. Your minivan's cool, man. I'm like,
what are you selling me?
Slam. No.
Yes.
But they're playing on our like I don't know, there's like a human, there's something where we want to like let people finish a sentence.
Yeah.
Or like we want to let them get their paragraph out, or like let them continue this attack of handing me a pamphlet that I don't want, Right. But it's like, I'm like, no, I'm not going to let you get that far, people.
I bet it's even harder. And I think you did the right thing, but in the past, before we were so like kids can't even make a phone call today, or having to go knock on somebody's door to sell cookies would be crazy. They have, it's all on the internet. I think it's harder to go to doors nowadays because people aren't used to talking to each other, right? Like it's got to be a little bit harder.
Yeah, I also feel like they understand because they're not, I'm sure this happens. Like,
yeah, they probably get way more doors in the face. Whereas people used to be, it was like a more polite society. So you would just listen, even though somebody was maybe saying something that you don't agree with or you think is crazy. Yeah. You would listen because you were polite, and you're like, F politeness.
I got an idea. I'm going to take some pamphlets from church and I'm going to keep them by the front door. And when I see them reach for their pamphlets, I'm going to reach for mine and be like, what's up?
You should have Ace's a rodeo roundup pamphlets.
Yeah, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this community drag show at the library this weekend. Would love to see you there with your pamphlets. Would you?
I'd like to.
Let's trade pamphlets.
Build upon your pamphlet idea and be like, let's take an extreme case and be like for the Satanist church and see how they react.
I think next time if I can get control of my instincts in my reflexive behavior as they're pulling that pamphlet on, and be like, I'd like to tell you about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and just see what happens, and just be like, no. And then when they're like, no, well, sir, be like, no.
Would you be allowed to pull out your own penis at your house?
You should be. You're in your own house.
Yeah, I think, Manny, that's a good answer. You should be. I don't want to I always wonder
what I would do. I always wonder what I would do if I had a penis.
Let me go into private mode and Google this.
That might be like I feel like you could be able to do that, right? If somebody just showed up with a pamphlet and you're just like, here's my penis.
I mean, this is my pamphlet. I'm sorry. It just happens to look like my penis.
Okay, now I've got a different strategy. I'm off the counter pamphlet.
Now you're on the counter penis?
No, I'm also off the telling about the Bible and Jesus. I'm also off the drag show pamphlets. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, you just got to fight these people. They can't just be coming to your door all haphazard. Couple penises in their face. Maybe they don't show up every Saturday. Maybe they think about it before they knock on your door. Like, oh, that's the guy that showed me his penis.
Now I'm going to have like a strobe light and be like, come into my rave. Eat this biscuit.
Just saying. I think that would work. If I had one, that's the strategy I would use.
I like this. These are great ideas.
Sorry.
All very elaborate, but I like them.
Well, it's an attack. It's an attack. If you're knocking on my door and you're not giving me something of value.
What if you were eating chicken wings at that moment? Like you had to like wipe off your hands.
Probably you wouldn't even answer the door.
Exactly.
True. Well, yeah, you got a good point.
Yeah.
But at this time, yeah, I was a little, I was already thinking like, oh, is this neighbor again? Like, what is it this time?
Right.
So
what have these kids done?
So actually, when I slammed the door in these people's faces, I was like happy. I was like, oh, it's cool.
Well, good. Again. They're like next house.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they told the neighbor that you slammed the door in their face, and the neighbor was like, yeah, he's not the one.
I hope to God they did.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, that's the person you want to be known as in your neighborhood. I'm not even joking. Not the one.
I'm like, if they went to the next door neighbor, like, your neighbor's incredibly rude. I'd be like,
we know.
Mission accomplished. Anyway, but I think, yeah. I don't know what they think, but
who cares? You already established that.
Yeah. Don't
zero cares.
I wish I did more. I kind of wish I did more.
I think you did enough.
I care for everybody. It keeps you up at night. It gives you wrinkles. I don't care. It's better for you.
Yeah, care less.
I care just enough to let people know that if you ever do have a very strategically and uncomfortably placed zit on your butt, don't poop with the toilet seat down. Poop with it up. It'll help you out. There you go.
Okay. Is that my life hack is about slamming doors? Was that your life hack?
Insert the rainbow. The more you know, Manny.
Because
please.
First time I tried to accomplish that mission, it was the worst pain. I was just like, no, there has to be a way around this because no. So, no seat it was. I got in touch with my roots because if you don't know, a lot of toilets in Mexico don't have toilet seats, at least from the parts that I'm accustomed to.
Okay.
Some of them, not all of them. I don't want to be gross American and overgeneralize. Yeah. So, bounces with my roots this week.
So, I don't know how deep you want to get into this. Are you like hovering over it? Are you making contact with the?
Well, I mean, it's my own home commode, so I'm gonna make contact with it. If I was out in public, I'd hover.
Okay. Yeah. Be more careful out there, man.
Just no seat, but it's the actual porcelain is there.
Yeah.
But there's no seat.
No.
Because the bolts have broken.
No, the bolts haven't broken. I just elected not to use a seat because, again, of that really strategically uncomfortable zit on my ass.
Well, I'm going to suggest a loofah.
Yeah.
If I might, exfoliate your.
I'm not saying that I don't take care of myself. It was just like random.
No, those things happen. No, those things happen. You got hair follicles. Those things happen. It's understandable. Life happens, Manny.
Could be the vaccine.
I mean,
I guess we're allowed to tell those kind of jokes now.
I wouldn't be surprised if in excessive ingrown hairs and whatnot coming in. But yeah,
they find the RMNA at that zit point.
That's where your chip was placed, right on your butt cheek.
Oh shit, that's what it is. It's trying to get. Yeah. It's trying to.
It's your chip trying to escape. It was looking for the closest hole.
It's trying to spread too. Trying to spread.
It's trying to do something.
Oh, so this week, I don't know. if you're paying attention to the news at all, you had to know that Donald Trump said he was going to be arrested. I think it was like Saturday morning. He posted somewhere that he was going to be arrested on Tuesday. Yeah,
I believed it.
I believed
Bill
it for a
was like,
second or two.
No, that's not happening. I was like, but I believed it. I thought it was going to happen.
It was a weird thing because it's like, it's a weird duality where you're thinking, I believe it, but now that he came out and said it, like now I'm not sure. It's like a millisecond of doubt or belief or like whatever of these counterintuitive things going off in your head. Like, wow, that sounds crazy. I've never heard anything like that before from a sitting like our former president.
Yeah.
This is new, as the left and right both agree. We are in unprecedented times. I was like, so for a split second, yeah, I have no problem saying, like, I thought it was true, but then I thought, but now that he said it, I understand that, like, when he says something like that, it changes the whole landscape. So
yeah.
I don't know.
It's
but by doing that, he dominated the entire news cycle for the entire week. Maybe on purpose, maybe by accident, because he's like, an idiot savant or something. But I think it was probably on purpose.
I think so too. I think there was a lot of stuff going on this week that
he cannot. I'm not even pro Trump, like, right? Like, I like talking about him because it's just like fascinating. Like this.
Don't be so coy.
I'm not, like, I really would rather see DeSantis, like, personally.
He's a globalist. He's backed by Soros. Enough
said.
I'm just going to say that if people don't know, DeSantis is backed by George Soros, and just go down the George Soros rabbit hole. Make your own.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I feel
everything he did for Florida. I think he's been great, the best governor ever. I'm impressed by all of the things, especially having to live with Gavin Newsom. But oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean,
Soros is now backing him, and he's like, "Yep."
I really try to, like, qualify. Like, I feel like, I know in this day and age, everybody was like wants to be like real definitive with all their proclamations and statements, but no, my feelings about it are very iffy.
Yeah.
Because, like, right or wrong, good or bad, good or evil, like Donald Trump has this ability to, like, affect the macro news trends, not only in our country, but even in the world. When he was the president, at a level that
was brilliant,
scary good.
Yeah.
I can understand if you're scared by it. I can understand if you're impressed by it, fascinated, whatever. Like,
you're not supposed to be.
I don't really like the people that are just, there's a lot of, like, real, like, diehard Trump people online that are just like call him the king, like, just get real weird about it. And they know they're being weird about it, and they're kind of like trying to be weirder and weirder about it. And it's like not helpful. But yeah, you can't deny that, like, he did that this week. He did it all by himself. And he caused all kinds of infighting. He caused, like, all kinds of op-ed pieces. He caused all kinds of, like, fighting within Republicans, Democrats, more Republicans
and the people
Democrats
with the
fighting.
Trump derangement syndrome to go spiraling and, like, ready to pour their champagne and be excited.
But just like I said last week, and in the words of Will Smith, he kept his name in your mouth. That's like, Ron DeSantis, I don't know. Can he do that? I don't know. And also it forced, Trump doing that forced DeSantis to come out and make a statement. And everybody criticized him for it, or a lot of people criticized him for it. Just created a bunch of fighting. But yeah, it's crazy how he does that.
Well, they're going to have to pit each other against each other. And it almost makes you wonder, like, because, like, the conspiracy of George Soros was before anybody kind of knew that name. Like, that came a long time ago. And so it makes me wonder if, like, that is something that people are now bringing into the mainstream. Like, is Trump really, like, I didn't vote for Trump. I'm whatever, in the middle. But I feel like if Trump is against DeSantis and now they're making them talk shit about each other, like, is it all just, it feels like it's all just some big.
It is.
Yeah, and
stage that we're all just watching, and it just
It is.
becomes
It
just
has
It
to
I'm
be.
is.
exhausted by it. I just want to breathe and
I think
ugh.
I voted for Trump twice. I'm not sure I'll vote for him again. I'll be very honest. Like
I would
a lot of,
definitely vote for him again. If he runs, I'm voting for him, period.
I'm not sure, and I would never
I'm
say
making
that.
my way to the stands.
I wouldn't say that now because I know that he is very capable of doing and saying some really crazy, stupid stuff. So he's got a lot of time between now and then to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm just just like just major undecided. Definitely not going to vote for Biden or Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever they tried to like swap at the last minute. But
if
I don't know.
DeSantis is run by Soros, you have to understand what Soros is doing. Like, people really need to look into that. Like, it's a big.
Yeah, I think that
it's bigger than who is the president. It's bigger.
Yeah, I was saying what I said earlier about that, like who I voted for and whether like how undecided. It was to preface the fact that like I think that it's possible that Trump does understand like what's going on, and he's actually like breaking through that whole thing where, yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if some of George Soros's money is getting to DeSantis. It's probably not a big part of his, funding or whatever, but it's probably some.
No, it just came out this week that it's considerable.
Yeah. Cause it's everywhere. Because they have that sentiment, that kind of anti-American or like, weirdness is definitely happening. Definitely
I can't
being paid for.
understand what his motive is and why. Manny's question earlier, like, I don't understand what the motive is, but it just seems like there's a couple key players in this whole thing. Like, if you think about it from above, like, there's a couple key players in this, and he is one of the ones that is on the evilest branch.
It could be pure evil, or it could be that some people think that capitalism is pretty good, but there's a lot of really, really bad parts of it. And even though only small parts of it are bad, they really want to spend a lot of time focusing on the bad parts.
I mean, the
so
World
they fund
Economic
every
Forum
socialist
has been
thing
happening for years and years and years, and I feel like there's a lot of footage of George Soros basically saying that he is not about the people. So, I mean, go back and look at it for the people that, like, some people are maybe hearing that name for the first time. Like, they don't even know that is a person that's playing in this game.
Or they've heard it in a way where they've only heard it in the way in the context of like kooky crackpot conspiracists, because that's how the mainstream media frames it, of course.
Yeah.
Because now if you say that you're anti-Semitic, even though
clearly
even though this guy admitted that I think he is Jewish, but he also admitted that he was like worked for the Nazis in some way to survive and all that. It's like, so it's just, and I don't want to get into that because that is some sick trauma there, right? Yeah. It's very traumatic. Sure. So that could break somebody even. That could break somebody into not caring about the people, right? If was he Hungarian? You're Hungarian Jew and like they're coming for you. And then your family is just like, we got to pretend not to be this. And to pretend not to be that, we actually have to participate in genocide. That could break somebody's mind to where they're just like, screw all humanity.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to turn into Gru, Dr. Gru from Despicable Me. And you're just like, I want to be a supervillain.
But that's the thing. Like, they put those movies out that are like, it's like conditioning. Like, oh yeah, there is a person that's like a Dr. Gru. There's an evil.
Hey, I grew up watching James Bond, all the James Bond movies as they came out. Yeah, so there was always like an evil mastermind who was broken in some way that wanted to just wreak havoc. And I guess the mind can go two ways, like, oh, this is pure entertainment and fiction, and they're like, oh, maybe this is based on something.
Yeah.
Maybe this is based on some, knowledge of humanity that, we've acquired over thousands of years.
It's weird though, like because I am the way I am and I say the things that I say and I don't care who I say them to, people will like knock you down with, oh, that sounds crazy, or oh, that's,
We get
that sounds like a
very
conspiracy
easily.
theory. Like you don't even want to listen to like what is actually maybe happening. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that because you've done it before, and I know that because I've done it before, and I've been that person. I've been, I still am to some degree that like instinctual reflexive person, right? Like, but I try to fight it a little bit. I try to like recognize when, did somebody just say something that like kind of like I felt threatened, and my first instinct was to maybe lash out,
Right.
And why was that? And like, I don't know. I encourage people to slow down in those moments and be like, why am I so angry? Why am I yelling at the television? Like, why am I
Right.
tweeting in all caps? That goes for everybody, including Donald Trump.
Yeah. I love all
like
caps.
Slow down a little bit and like, why are you so mad? Like, why are you so paranoid or threatened or so easily threatened? And like, and then I think that's a good exercise. Because if you do your due diligence, you're like, okay, well, let me re-examine my beliefs, and let me,
these past couple of years if you're not re-examining all of your beliefs after the past 3 years, you are going to be left behind. Like it just feels like you need to re-examine your beliefs.
One of the weirdest things I've heard, I don't want to get into it because we're going to talk about crazy daytime talk show. But like one of the weirdest things that I've kind of come upon the last several years is that like our whole understanding of the founding, like 1492 and Columbus, and is like, it's just falling apart.
The Vikings were here before, man, way before.
They made a song about it though, right?
Vikings, Africans were here before. Africans, Asians, like just all getting together and making Native Americans. And so like, and then like I don't know, things are just kind of coming out. And then you start to think, wow, in 2020, they were able to revise history. And then you're like, oh, well, in the 1400s, it must have been really, really, really easy to just write history. Like,
what's
like,
so weird to
this
me
is like burn all those maps, and this is history now.
Yes. Where were these maps? That's the question. Manny was on the happy hour earlier. I was like, he was talking about how the CIA is like revealing a lot of stuff, and it makes you think like, why is the CIA revealing all this stuff? And then people don't even care about the stuff that they're revealing, that is pretty big stuff. But also like people are talking about things that are like so scientific that it would seem like it would be in a textbook somewhere. Like, why didn't we know about Tartarians and like these giants, and like why were these things taught to us? Like, why do we know nothing about it? And now all of a sudden people are talking about it, and it's like in the things.
Yeah, that's a good question. Or if they were taught as like, let me tell you about
legends,
these crazy
urban legends.
Let me tell you about these crazy natives we're talking about, like these myths and like Paul Bunyan.
Like
Paul Bunyan was 80 foot.
They've suppressed the conversation since the beginning of time, right?
They did let Paul Bunyan.
I live in a
flourish,
city where our city was like wiped out by mud and they rebuilt it. Sacramento, wiped out by mud and they rebuilt it. Like, why isn't that something that is talked about all over the world with things that have been wiped out by mud and rebuilt? Or maybe.
Well, as much as I would like, I mean, I'm here if it's like a grand conspiracy theory, I'm here for it. But at the same time, humans en masse do not want to think about troubled pasts. Like we don't like
history repeating itself is frightening, but
we don't really want to
always be the case.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a practical reason, because it's just like, you mean that our city could be taken up by a mudslide again? Like no one wants to think about that, or like no one wants to really think about.
All that's been on my mind lately. Not to cut you off.
In
Not
LA?
just like
Oh, yeah,
my
you
God,
guys are
in
having
LA,
like, yeah, you guys are
like
having problems.
wild.
Not
Yeah.
just like wild weather and shit, but I'm just talking about like after learning more about coronal mass ejections and how that shit works. It's just like we're literally at the whim of the fucking universe. So it's just like it's like this one impulse to want to freak the fuck out, and then it's just like the logical side just being like, all right, you do that, but what's going to happen? Because either you freak out or not, like this shit's still going to happen at some point in time. So it's just like,
I think to be human is to never be settled on either. And sorry, just like,
no
Yeah.
need to apologize, but yeah, it's just
yeah, it's just like, it's a,
weird. It's an interesting state to be in, is all I'm saying.
But the
I think
state
that's
should be of like, in this moment, this is really all we're promised. Nothing
Yeah.
else is promised. Like one moment to the next, California can fall into the ocean and Christopher would be like,
Yeah.
hello? Hello?
I know.
Not just Cali, all of the West Coast.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying all of the West Coast, but Christopher would still be fine in Texas. Like,
Yeah, I'm relocating to New Mexico. That's where it's going to be at, y'all. So if anyone wants to know that lives on the West Coast,
Need to move somewhere dry and flat, people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dry, flat, and sturdy.
Yep.
it's sturdy.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I don't know.
Tomorrow's not promised. Maybe that's the message of this show, is that you should just seize the day, right?
That's true. Like, just be re-examining. I don't know. I think like some of the things that are coming out now are just so crazy. I don't want to think about like what are we going to be great going, like what revelations are we going to hear in 10 years?
That's the other thing that drives me even crazier about it, is just like, okay, we're at the universe's whim, and we're over here, I don't know, creating problems that shouldn't be for stupid reasons. I don't know.
That's what we do, man. That's what we do. Anyway, so over the last 24 hours, we joked a bit about there was an Adam Carolla podcast episode with Courtney Stodden, who I had never heard of, but I guess I had heard of her kind of, but not by name, because she's the girl that well, she was a girl at that time that Chrissy Teigen told to kill herself, and got Chrissy Teigen canceled. But I never knew like why Chrissy Teigen hated this one thing, told this girl to kill herself.
Yeah.
So I never heard of her name, but now it turns out she was on Adam Carolla, and she was a child bride at 16 and was on reality TV shows. And I'm going to start talking slowly and fade out so Quana can take over all the information on.
Right. I actually thought that they had their own reality TV show, but turns out she was just on a show called Couples Therapy, which we learned tonight was just like an actual therapy show. Like I remember watching it. I remember thinking like,
the heyday of therapy shows.
Yes, it was in the heyday of therapy shows. But Dr. Drew, and I was thinking of like, there's so many that like fell into that. Like it was 2010 to like 12, like all of these weird therapy shows, like Dr. Drew and the the drug shows and couples therapy. And
prior, the decade before, it was more like freak show talk shows.
Yes.
Like Springer and Jenny Jones and Ricky Lake, and
those were early though. Those were like in the 90s.
And
those were in the 90s. Those were daytime. They weren't considered reality shows. Those were daytime talk TV.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they were, but now we know that they were kind of reality shows, you know.
Chris, you are not the host.
Yeah.
What? Oh, what are you doing here?
You think about in the progression of the day though, like it went from respectable to like less respectable.
Just all out wild, the wheels falling off everything.
Yeah, Donahue to
Donahue was the
Geraldo.
beginning. I think Donahue was probably, well, I'll just say it for me because it was my era. Like Donahue was like probably started off serious, but by the end he was like running around and sticking the weird Price is Right microphone and everybody's faces in the audience like, what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah.
Like he was like really exploiting people at the end.
With a huge head. He had a huge head, remember? And a huge microphone and a huge head.
Had a
helmet hair. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But then that morphed into like Morton Downey Jr., like Oprah kind of came about in the Donahue era because they had the same motif, like color scheme, like
yes,
like 80s brown or 80s tan.
Yes.
Weird.
And then Sally came with her glasses, the big red glasses. Remember Sally
Ricky Raphael. Yep. Yeah. Jenny Ricky Raphael.
Jenny Jones, which I completely forgot about until tonight.
They started blending together.
Yes.
But that was like a whole thing in itself that got mocked and kind of, satirized or whatever. Yeah, it was just a crazy time, but it all like is connected to like modern day reality TV and
it's
the Vampirina Rules or whatever the hell, like Vanderpump. Yeah.
I remember, I would say it's been about 9 years ago. I had an altercation with a friend. Like this was my friend, but we were like in a public place and she kind of got really elevated and like crazy.
You did an air quotes altercation?
Yeah, like she went kind of like she went like you would see on a reality show. And I had watched Basketball Wives like from there. I've watched all of you can't name a reality show that I haven't watched except for those Lifetime ones with like the really overweight people or like the sad dating ones. Those make me feel so depressed. I can't watch them. But those are newer. No, those are newer. The old stuff, I've watched all of it. I've seen everything. I've seen all of the
things. There's an element real quick that like there weren't as many choices in that era either. Like that's all that was on tape. Yeah.
1,000,000%. Yes.
It was either ESPN2 reruns of Sports Center all day or brand new crazy freaks on TV.
Yes. I mean, do you remember that Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie had a reality show that was on like ABC? Simple Life.
That was after my realization that all this was bullshit.
Right. Okay. Well,
I've been suckered by a lot of shows. Like I thought Morton Downey Jr. was real. But by the time we got to that show, I was like, no, you had me enough.
Oh, okay. Well, it took me longer than that. It took me way longer than that. I was like Kardashians last year. I was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't real.
I remember the phenomena though. I mean, because again, that was like, before things are the way they are now. And like
before
people didn't have nearly as many choices of crazy things to watch.
But interesting that they made us all kind of jump into this reality thing. And I remember saying when my friend jumped off at me at a restaurant.
Oh, that shit was unleashed upon us, man. That's what it was.
We wanted it though.
The reality of the reality TV was making people act in real life like they can do that. And I always say that like on Facebook, people talk as if they've never been punched in the face. And if you've been punched in the face,
that shit hurts.
You know that you can't really talk to some people in some kind of way. Mm-hmm. But on Facebook and Instagram and all the other places, people will talk in a way that they've never been punched in the face.
That's true.
But reality TV kind of made people in real life think that they could talk in some kind of way to other people and not get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Which has kind of set off this phenomenon of people acting wild in the streets and punching people in the face.
It was a social experiment. It was all just to get to this point.
It's a circle.
I agree 100% with everything you said. I would just add that we don't buy anything that we don't want, and we bought it because we wanted it.
Hook, line, and sinker.
It's okay. It's okay to be
because
humans.
of Maury Povich. Like it gave us like a taste.
Like people should examine it, but people shouldn't feel bad about it because we're humans, and that's how we're designed. Like we're easily confused and manipulated creatures, and but we're also like incredibly enlightened and able to, send rockets into outer space, supposedly. and then land
Go to
them
the
back.
Don't get me
moon.
started, sir. That's for next week.
Yeah.
Laura said she wanted a conspiracy hour.
I'm pretty sure there's a satellite if we're talking like unless we're in the matrix in our feeding pods, like I'm pretty sure there's a satellite in outer space if we're talking to each other right now like this.
Totally. I mean, we could be in our pods.
Yeah, or it can be both, you know. We could be
Yeah.
in our feeding pods doing a podcast in our brains or something.
Totally.
Podception, bro.
Yeah, I'm good with it either way. You know, make my gruel taste like, you know, brisket.
Ah,
Brisket gruel is the best brisket.
I made an 18-pound brisket 2 weeks ago, and I think I just finished it today for lunch.
Nice.
delicious.
Mm-hmm.
He said, mm-hmm.
You remember like Donahue? I was like weird. I talk about these weird moments that you remember in your life that you'll never forget, and they had an impact.
Totally.
But like, I remember watching TV, maybe the 80s, and there was like some old white guy on, you know, Nightline or freaking Ted Brokaw, whatever, Tom Brokaw, talking to Peter Jennings.
Ted's his cousin.
You know, some old guy like talking at the TV, you know, in black and white, talking about Phil Donahue, and he was warning of like the dangers of when the entire, you know, like audience is clapping and applauding for someone who is totally morally and logically wrong, but like the whole crowd's like, yeah, and it's like, I think maybe they were even made like a reference to like the Roman Colosseums where everybody was like cheering Christians being eaten by lions, because it's like, man, what's wrong with you people? Let's see, humans. I don't know, but that remember that, and I remember. So that's like the prism I started seeing like all the talk shows and like reality shows through. Like, that's really weird when everybody is cheering for someone that's doing something really bad.
Right.
Because it feels good or something. I don't know.
Do you think that that's what we're doing with reality TV, or was that just
maybe even Trump? Like maybe there's an element of humanity. It's like
his love from the nation came from his reality TV.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where I love that show. I watched The Apprentice. I was like DVR set, but I watched it live.
You know, there's been I
love that show.
There's been a lot of books written about, maybe mostly about how Trump is like the devil incarnate. And there's been a few books written about how Trump is great, whatever. I don't care. But we have to objectively admit, over the last 10 years, this man went from a reality TV host that was famous, infamous, whatever you want to call it. He could call up any show, any radio show, any network, anywhere in America and be on tomorrow. Don't care, Howard Stern, whatever, because he was ratings gold and everybody, air quotes, loved him. Right.
Totally.
And now he's like, he went from like being a Russian agent. He's mentally ill. He's got dementia, you know.
He does have a big butt. Have you noticed that? He's
going to die soon. Like he's got hypertension, eats McDonald's. Yeah. It's like, he's kind of right or wrong. I don't think we should be proud of this. He's kind of dominated our culture for like 10 years or so.
Yeah. At least the last 7. Or maybe more.
And I feel like
the
people that were watching The Apprentice are the people that hate him the most now. Like there's a weird thing going on there.
Yeah. I watched because I love reality TV.
I don't think a lot of like conservative Christian Republicans in Donald Trump's reality TV heyday were like tuning into him. I think it was more like
but even before that, wasn't he like a New York celebrity? Like,
yeah, like morally fluid reality TV watchers that tuned into The Apprentice because they like the drama, and they have no morality, so they had no problem watching it.
They had no thoughts about him. Once he was like, I don't think people had thoughts about him. There were no thoughts.
Then they were like, wait a minute, this Barnum and Bailey charlatan that I've been like watching every week for decades is going to be in charge of my life, and they were freaking out. It's like, yeah, you made.
Isn't that what Carolla always says though? Like, that like if you have no thoughts about ivermectin and then all of a sudden you have thoughts about ivermectin, like that's crazy. Like no one had any thoughts about Trump, and then all of a sudden all these thoughts about Trump.
I
Like
think
he was everywhere that no one was talking about. He was on Oprah, he was interviewed Michael Jackson, he was on Miss America. Miss America was
he was on every show.
He was everywhere and no one had any thoughts about him. And then all of a sudden everybody had thoughts about him. It's the exact same. Trump is ivermectin.
I think, well, I'm down with what you're saying, but difference between ivermectin was like, they really had no thoughts, never heard of it before. I'd argue that the people that were watching The Apprentice and every show that Trump was on had a lot of thoughts towards him, and they had a lot of good thoughts, and they had a lot
What
of
about the millions of people that are on ivermectin that have used it as an antiviral for 100 years? What about the Nobel Peace Prize for ivermectin? It's
but
almost the same.
To be fair, we don't know any of them because they're all in Africa, and like no one's like steady dose in ivermectin here. So it was a very new thing. But I'm saying that people did have a lot of thoughts about Trump, and they were all good thoughts because they were tuning in droves. And he was ratings gold, and they had a lot of very
100%.
positive thoughts about watching this man. So my issue is that then their thoughts totally flipped. And that goes both ways, because people that found Trump and The Apprentice and his whole thing detestable, like flipped in the other way, where they were like, I'm going to vote for this guy.
Maybe.
I mean, right or wrong, good or bad, whatever side you're on, you cannot deny that he has, he's like the person of the decade. Who else in this last 10 years has done what he's done? He had a reality TV show, and then he became the president. It's crazy. He's a president of the United States.
Was.
All because of who? Donahue? Was it his fault? Or Oprah's fault, or Jenny Jones' fault, Ricky Lake's fault?
Like
no, man, it's Oprah. Everyone's fault.
Exactly. Are all of us that were consuming it.
Okay.
It's like people that don't like the Kardashians now. We're just like,
we're all complicit. Thanks, Obama.
He made them a billionaire.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I will say that I deleted all my Kardashian. I have not watched. I watched the first 3 episodes of this season. I haven't watched any of the rest of them. I deleted it from my apps. They're deleted off of all of my social media. I'm no longer keeping up, which is a big deal for me because I've been keeping up. To
pay penance, I think you must watch every episode of Duck Dynasty.
You're assuming that I didn't already.
I was about to say, if you haven't already.
And what was the gator guy that was like catching the gators with his kid in the boat? I watched that one too.
Oh, I love Mountain Man.
No, he wasn't. Remember?
No, I know. That's a different person. Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about, though?
Quana has her own duck calling whistle too.
Oh, really?
I love those guys.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of the sexy beard way before. I love it.
Okay. You were more like I just thought they were funny. You're more turned on. Okay. No, it was just funny. It was just funny. You know, I wish more slices of that kind of Americana would come out in popular culture.
What about the Sister Wives and all of those? Those are the ones that I deep dive into. I love a Sister Wives story.
Well, I just made that statement that I wish more slices of life of Americana would come out like that. And then I was like, Sister Wives. Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, people need to see all the people who live in. I think it's important. We're used to like read. We're used to like reading, like opening up. I want to learn about other cultures. Let me open up this National Geographic magazine and look at cultures in Botswana. It's like, no. You just got to go to Nevada.
No. Let me tell you all about Cody. You
just need to like go search Twitter for people in Nevada and just follow them.
Yeah.
There's your culture. There's your, you don't need a national. Maybe National Geographic would be more popular if they were just like
better nipples,
honing in on Nevadans and yeah, all those.
They're
folks.
Like, are you kidding me? We're Nat Geo. That's beneath us.
We need to focus on Americans that go to temples, because that's like a weird. Like I go to church. I've never been to a temple.
You're missing
realize
out,
they're-
man.
I realize they're both made out of the same materials.
The polygamists aren't allowed in the temple because they've separated into their own sect of people that are no longer allowed in the temple. They're not.
Well, I'm hearing
You
they
know,
have their own. They have their own temple now,
Well, it's having 3 or
and
4,
it's and it's
6,
called the master
10
bedroom.
wives. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh boy.
Martina says she knows so much about the Browns. It's ridiculous. Cody,
Oh, is
the
that
sister wives. Yeah. Me too, girl. All of it. And Christine has a new boo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she does. She is the sister wife that was like, you know what, I'm done with this. And she left Cody. And now she has a new boyfriend, which we only found out on TikTok. So maybe Martina doesn't know that. Now she does.
Good for
Too busy with her own boo.
I know.
Keep up with all the booze, the
Congratulations.
sister wives booze and new boo, all that stuff. Yeah.
New boos, old boos, boo boo.
I mean, oh, so we were talking about like, all right. So the main reason this came up because I thought it was funny when that Courtney Stodden, the young child bride woman. I don't even know
I
what.
think she's a woman now. She's got to be in her 30s, right?
Yeah, but she doesn't sound like it.
Right.
She's not a girl. She's whatever. However that.
Well,
Britney
that goes
Spears
back
song
to
goes.
Dr. Drew's thing and
Stunted, maybe
the
stunted. Yeah.
no, it
Oh,
goes
hella
back
stunted.
to the Loveline stuff. Like they could always tell somebody who's been like molested or whatever that they sound like a child, like their voice stays small.
Was that back
Right.
before Dr. Drew sold to VH1 or MTV?
I mean, that was the Loveline days. So
Or
yeah.
TV
How dare you,
producer?
Chris?
Yeah, but I thought it was funny because she was it was like I mean, it lasted all of what 60 seconds, this interaction where Adam brought up Dr. Drew and then she was like, oh yeah, I was on Dr. Drew's show and basically said he exploited me when I was 16. And Adam was like, the best defense that Adam Carolla could come up with for his life partner and co-host or whatever.
Let me quote. To be fair, it was the producers that told them to say.
Basically said this doctor, this board certified addiction specialist doctor just does whatever the TV producers tell him to do. And then I think as Ace was finishing that sentence, he realized how bad it sounded and was like,
Didn't care.
gotta joke my way out.
Double down.
Like we gotta move on past this because that sounded. I think I just indicted my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something else when you get a friend and you're like, when you go to defend them, you actually indict them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No bueno.
that was funny.
It was.
I don't know.
Right.
I hope they get
I feel like
nominated
that's
for
like a
awkward
really,
moment.
that's an unpopular opinion among like Dr. Drew being a hack doctor. It's like an unpopular opinion amongst Adam Carolla fans and maybe even especially the diehard Ace holes.
Yeah. I love
telling you.
him. I really
I'm sorry.
do.
Would you
I
love him
do-
if he was
you know-
5'4" and balding?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Why?
It's
Would you
not
even know
a-
who he is?
I only know who he is because of Loveline. So I hold him in the same love that I hold Adam Carolla in.
I don't
because I
think
feel like-
he would have. Yeah, okay. I buy that, but I don't think he would have
But,
held.
and
I
I
don't
also
think.
think that you might be a little bit wrong because Dr. Drew not only holds his license, which you have to do secondary training and all of the things to carry a medical degree license to practice, right?
Yeah,
he
just
is a
like my son's
practicing-
pediatrician that told him to get vaccinated before it was approved for his age group, and then after it was approved for his age group, told
Totally.
him don't worry about it.
Yes, I do think
Those guys
Dr.
are
Drew
really
is a
good at
hack
passing
in-
tests.
Yes, you're right.
Really good at
I
passing
I haven't
tests.
been to a doctor except for my urgent care doctor who's in his probably 80s and never remembers me, even though I go all the time.
And also, you said I might be a
The
little bit
same
wrong.
thing.
I'm always a little bit wrong.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Let's always a little
Yeah.
bit wrong. But
No, I understand what you're saying.
I think with this
about-
track record of being a TV doctor, VH1, celebrity addiction, couldn't even cure Vince Neil off the wild turkey. All right. Vince Neil had a solo album in him. Maybe I'm just mad, Because he had a solo album in him, and Dr. Drew couldn't get it done. Couldn't close the deal. Couldn't get him kicked off the coke. Or
But Dennis
I'm not
Rodman
really sure.
is still alive, so
Yeah. But like with his track record, it doesn't stand up. His credibility among the Adam Carolla fan base is not logical to me. And I'll dare anybody,
especially because Ace is so mean to him. You would think
I will
people
dare tell me anything Adam Carolla has ever said complimentary about Dr. Drew that wasn't said in a mocking tone and wasn't actually said to make fun. Exactly.
Nothing. He's mean to him. He's super mean to him.
He keeps him. I think he keeps him around because he's just like, because every time he has a medical opinion about third hand smoke doesn't exist, he could be like, my Dr. Drew said it doesn't exist. I don't know. But also I'm sure they're close friends. They've spent a lot of time together. So I don't want to so I'm mostly joking.
And Dr.
But among
Drew
the fan, I'm not, because among the fan base, you are not close personal friends with Dr. Drew. You never met him. You listen to a guy that, yeah, I know.
I feel like I'm every bit as close to him as I am to Adam. Like I have listened from Loveline, and they were both on Loveline. And I mean, the fact that there's an Adam and Drew show is magical to me. Plus like Dr. Drew and back to the reality TV shows, he did Sober House, and he did all of those drug addicted shows where he really showed what his specialty is with that guy that he had that was on with him all the time. Like Drew has literally saved not only celebrities, but like that's where his passion is. I think his passion is really in helping people. In fairness,
I think that he is willing to kind of take all those shots as being a phony TV doctor because I think he's like, I'm serious. I'm giving him credit here. Like he's willing to take that abuse because he believes, I've seen this, like I've seen him say this and write this, that just getting like mental health, like knowledge out in the mainstream somehow is good.
Yes.
So fair enough.
Think of all the sexual help that he help facilitate. Like the only reason why Loveline exists is because of Dr. Drew and his like he wanted to talk about the AIDS crisis and all the things.
Do we have more? Let's talk about like the macro impact of shows like that on our culture. Do we have more sexually transmitted diseases now than we did?
The Teen Mom show that
have they gone down? Have they gone down?
Yes, the Teen Mom show that he did. If you can pull up those statistics, the teen pregnancy rate reduced dramatically because of Teen Mom.
Yeah, which was scared people. Yeah, scared girls.
His iteration, like he moved from Loveline into the next phase of reality TV, which was Teen Mom. I mean,
by the way, I hate to shit on your point, but Teen Mom was funded by George Soros as a depopulation.
You know what, you motherfucker! All right, I gotta go potty.
I'm like, I'm not sure if you're joking or not. Like you could be reading an article right now. I wouldn't have any. It could be true, man. But I'll tell you what, if I had like just billions and billions of dollars to burn, I'd probably do the same stuff. I'd be tinkering with all you folks.
You asshole.
I'd like you to believe that I'd just be in the woods living with my family on a compound.
Just growing a huge beard.
No. I'd be like, I'm gonna fuck with these people. They really annoy me. Just being honest, that's all. Yeah. I don't know what we were just talking about before she left. Who's funded by George Soros? Like,
oh, she was talking about Dr. Drew and the Teen Mom and how that brought down like the
I'm willing to admit that like it's very strange, like these things that seem really kind of dirty, but then like they scare a lot of young girls straight. Okay, well, so I would argue that the Me Too movement would have never existed if Donald Trump did not win in 2016. I wouldn't even. I state that as a fact.
You don't think that?
Nope. Because I'll tell you why. Because Hillary Clinton and Harvey Weinstein were friends, and he was raising money for her campaign. Do you think he was going to get taken down with that? Because he was one of the big whales that got taken down with that movement.
I don't know.
It was never going to reach the levels it reached because it would have to reach Bill Clinton. You think Hillary Clinton's going to allow a hashtag Me Too to flourish, or like the machine is going to allow that to flourish when Bill Clinton is the first? What is he? The first husband or whatever?
The first man.
No, but
first former president.
It was people like women, like in all fairness, like rightfully so, women who had suffered abuse or whatever. It was, they were so angry about Donald Trump. They were like, no more hashtag.
You're absolutely right.
And it exposed a lot of,
grab him by the pussy.
It exposed a lot of,
Me Too was like within a couple days, I would imagine.
I can guarantee you. I'll just say,
to be fair, you let us do it. So I mean, no, it's fine.
Well, yeah. I tell you what, if Hillary Clinton won in 2016, Donald Trump would still be doing interviews and still be saying, grab him by the pussy.
People are kidding.
Because Me Too would have never happened. Me Too was a reaction to Donald Trump's victory.
I agree with you 1,000,000%. I don't know what the dates are, but I feel like if you could do the dates, they would be within a couple months of each other.
I know what I watched it happen. It was direct. It was a direct response to Donald Trump. And it may have been manufactured because the machine was like, what's the best thing to manufacture to like destroy this guy? I was like, Me Too.
Do you remember Naomi Judd with her pussy hat? Remember the pussy hat?
Hell yeah, I do. It made me very confused. I was very confused. I was like, is that what it's supposed to look like? Like with all these women I've been with, like, are really like, that's not it. That's not my experience. What's up with this hat? I was very confused.
Cheers, brother.
Same. But it happened. It really, that was a direct response. So I always say, like, sometimes, like in a biblical sense, like sometimes God lets the devil win. Like a small battle. And then, but like, I guarantee you, like, men are on a lot, like, because Donald Trump won in 2016, many men are on much better behavior.
Well, I think that women have more and more, myself included, because like I have been sexualized by men in my life, especially my younger life. And now I realize, like, wait, that was bullshit. Like, he should not have ran his hand up my thigh, or like I've had the weirdest things happen, like on the job, that you were just like, that shouldn't have happened. But you can't say anything because that's your boss, and you just go home and you're like, you feel gross. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll be honest, there's probably a lot of dudes out there that would still like to do it, but they know they can't.
Yes.
Because Donald Trump won.
I appreciate.
Because Donald Trump won in 2016, and there was this huge reaction that exposed a lot of really terrible things in our culture and our society.
That were acceptable, that were really acceptable, that like, including, so many things have been acceptable that we were just like, oh yeah, that's just the way that is, including Courtney Stoughton and the teen bride stuff. Like, that was acceptable.
Harvey Weinstein's in prison right now for various Me Too crimes. He raised money for Hillary Clinton. He was doing fundraising parties for Hillary Clinton. You really think he was going to be in prison if Hillary Clinton won? No.
Oprah and him were like,
him and Gwyneth Paltrow would be freaking like,
all over each other. They loved each other. Like, Michelle Obama there's video of her speaking about how great he is. Michelle Obama. So like, they didn't know. I think everyone knew.
He had a lot of money.
Everyone knew for 20 years. Everyone knew.
He paid for a lot of parties that made a lot of people feel really good about giving more money to them. And yeah. It wasn't that he gave all the money. He was like, had parties where people give the money, and people felt like that was the place to be. just be honest, man. 10 years. It's been a wild 10 years of this orange-haired man dominating our culture.
But do you feel like reality
You don't
TV
like
has
it.
kind of like led into the society of that, like all of the information is now available and people are looking at it and like this is
Well, not
I
just
would just say
reality
if
TV,
you
but
don't like where our culture is now,
the platforms that we use, because all our information are out there just for everyone to see willingly.
the
Like we put
platform,
ourselves out there.
the platforms of the platforms, 100 years ago was a newspaper, and then it was MySpace, and then Facebook and Twitter and TikTok. The platform's always the platform. It's like, if you want a different culture, be more discerning about the culture that you purchase and participate in. Like, if you want us to be really high-minded people, right, that care about everything and world hunger and recycling, blah, 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 and environment, don't stop watching the Kardashians, damn it. Stop choosing that with your dollars, your eyeball dollars, like, stop. Yeah. But we don't. So it's like, we get what we get and we don't throw a fit, or we do.
Although little by little, those things that make you look into other things get you onto paths about like how our food chain is fucked and how our water system is fucked and how our infrastructure, like all of those things are on the underlier of why we are in this era of where like reality TV is all we can look at, like these crazy people, because our actual society is kind of crumbling beneath us, right?
Yeah, but they all do. Every society in human history has crumbled, where for some reason,
try to
if we want to be special and the one that doesn't, we're going to need to change our lifestyles. But we won't, because we're humans, and it's like,
invest in 0 Point Energy, people.
Less Coors Light.
That's right. I don't know. It's wild. It's wild. I think by the time everybody realizes it, we'll have like some kind of mass event. We'll just start over with new maps again.
Yeah. The muds will come. Wipe us out.
We'll just start over and be like, hey, we discovered this weird place called the Americas again. I mean, forget what? I said again. What I meant was,
I just hope the gas stays on long enough for me to turn it on and just be like, yeah. Okay, we're done.
I meant was that we just discovered the Americas for the first time. Just disregard when I said we found it again. Like, don't. Yeah, I was just that was a Biden moment.
It was top of mind.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest things I've seen this week. Yeah, the whole concept of that could all just be a lot of fiction, like fiction based on reality, but like highly edited, highly produced fiction. Anyway,
we are living in a new reality show that we have to kind of figure out on our, I mean, maybe that is what meta is. Like, it's maybe the reality shows have been leading us into this whole like meta universe of this is the new reality.
I think
Earth is someone's reality show.
I think in the history of humanity that it has been, I think that we live in a time, maybe we're coming off a period where there wasn't a lot of thought being put into humanity. But I think for the most, like all of humanity, I think 90% of it was like people were exploring humanity, like really thinking about this and like standing in togas in the streets, like talking about what they think about humanity and right and wrong and morals and laws and stuff. And then maybe like in the modern age, and then after the Industrial Revolution, we kind of took a break from thinking about those things for a little while because they're pretty heavy. And I like cars and cheap shoes and, new clothes every week and all that kind of stuff. And then now people are kind of getting back to the norm of society, which is like, kind of talking about like what makes us human, morality, like what's a man, what's a woman, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And when a man
I'm
loves
for
a
it, man.
woman-
If someone's like, hey, we're going to start wearing togas tomorrow, I'm down. I'll be at Walmart.
Oh my God.
I'll be at Walmart or Target buying me a toga.
When I was sick and I couldn't wear pants and I was like full robe life, I was like, Hugh Hefner clearly is a visionary. Like
Oh,
a robe is so great. A robe, there's nothing better than a fucking robe. Like a good robe. Ugh.
well, I live in a neighborhood and there are a lot of what do they call it? Eastern Asian, like a lot of Indian
White
folks, a lot of
people?
Pakistani folks. And they
Okay.
walk around the neighborhood and they're like get ups.
Yeah.
Just like
That's their
robes.
clothes.
I'm like,
Yeah.
man, that looks pretty. I'll be honest, that looks pretty
Very
comfortable.
breathable, super breathable.
Yeah, because when
Fabric.
it's like they're
Very
out there,
breathable.
it's like 110 degrees. They're out there walking around after dinner and they're not even breaking a
Full on.
sweat because they're just wearing like proper clothing.
Breathable linen.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we call them savages or whatever, the Middle Eastern people, but I feel like maybe a little different.
Yeah.
Like maybe they know what's up for clothes and beautiful women.
At the same time, I don't think we want people like Harvey Weinstein walking around in togas. It'll just make it worse.
I mean,
It'll just make it worse. Make it easier for him to do crimes on people.
Oh my God. No, wait, it wasn't Harvey Weinstein that was doing the jerking off in front of people. Harvey Weinstein was actually doing things, but
he did the potted plant.
That was no.
Harvey Weinstein did the potted plant.
Oh, that was
Louis C.K. Harvey Weinstein was actually assaulting women. That's why he's in prison. That's why he's in prison.
And
that was Louis C.K. Manny.
Not potted plants. No way. I will
Manny.
Go to my deathbed.
Stop your phone, whatever you're looking at. Louis C.K. was a potted plant. Yeah. Yes. I saw Louis C.K. we went and saw him in it was Louis C.K.
Well, I only remember the potted plant thing because on Adam Carolla show, well, what's the guy play with pain?
Cesario?
Yeah. When he would come on more regularly, and that subject came up of like one of these like weird Me Too dudes like beating off into a potted plant. And then Jeff Cesario made up this thing like, can you imagine if you're a potted plant and you're outside and you want to get inside? and then Harvey, and I thought the joke with that time was, and then like, yeah, you're an outdoor plant and you're on the
JV. You want to come inside, don't you?
You're on the JV team and you want to go and you want to be an indoor plant and make the varsity team. But then that happens to you. I swear, I almost drove off the road and wrecked my car. I was laughing so hard. I was rewinding it. I was like driving and rewinding it.
I love that. There are so many Carolla moments that I've heard in my car that I can remember exact location where I was at in my car when I heard them, and I laughed so hard. I love that. But you're wrong.
I remember. I'm not why. I remember
Harvey Weinstein was an actual rapist, and
it was Louis C.K. that did the potted plant.
Implants. Okay. He might have mixed the two, though. He might have married them for a joke.
Well, to be fair, I was kind of downgrading Harvey Weinstein a little bit, but you're making it. Well, I don't know, whatever.
Well, there's like a video of him like telling this girl, like, no, come in here. And she's like, you made me feel really uncomfortable. He's like, no, just come in this room. Like, there's a lot of
he's weird.
Like weird Harvey Weinstein stuff. And he's in prison for it. I mean,
I'm just saying, Harvey Weinstein, Louis C.K., they should not be allowed to wear togas.
Louis C.K., Sarah Silverman is.
Oh yeah, she let him do it.
She let him do it.
So she's an enabler. I think
I probably would have too. I feel like.
I think that's a term that is like derogatory, enabler. It used to be. I don't know. In 2021, it was.
Yeah. If she let him do it in 2014, though, she would have been like, fine. But in 2022, like she would have been raping him. A weird time.
Yeah, she'd be winning like best male comedian award, stuff like that.
Yeah, but in 2011 or 20, 2010, she would have been like, oh, that's hot.
Yeah.
Like he just jerked off in a plan, but whatever.
Yeah, society is like, society is always changing. So like, I'm very hesitant or reticent to like make like definitive proclamations about things all the time, because man, it's a wild world out there. We learn a lot of new stuff all the time, and you should allow those new things you learn to come into your worldview or your opinions, your belief systems, and like, how do they?
And maybe you should be a visionary, Chris. And so the next time, let this episode be a lesson to the masses. All 32 of you.
Thank you to all
If
our
a
supporting masses.
If a Jehovah's Witness comes to your door and you do happen to have a penis, pull it out. You're in your house.
Real or imaginary?
What can they do?
Yeah.
What can they do? You know what? We need a lawyer.
They won't do
There's
anything.
A lawyer on board. We need to know.
Well, they probably have lawyers though. You got to watch out for these organized religions, man. They got legal teams and stuff. They got dudes on retainer.
I had to hire an attorney to not be a Mormon. So yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
He had to like file paperwork for me to not be a Mormon. That my mom baptized me at like 8. Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. The only real religions out there are the ones you can drift in and out of at will. Just kidding.
Catholic. Thank God for Catholicism.
Retired Catholic, what's up?
Except for the kids. The kids.
I was going to kick out of like the Catholics that were like disagree with the Pope. I was like, well, that kind of makes you a Protestant.
Oh, is that what separates them? Okay.
Welcome to the team. Like, welcome to my non-denominational church. Like, yeah. Rando Protestant.
I guess that's one of the things that TikTok. Okay, so TikTok is about to be banned or whatever in the US or whatever. But I guess like 500,000 churches were started on TikTok. So they're trying to like bring in a religious thing that they can't ban it because these.
Oh yeah, I don't think it'll be banned in the end.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm not even kind of buying into it, but it's a very big discussion, and like, the things are happening.
Actual churches that have TikTok accounts?
But I think that the reason why they don't want it to happen is because there's so much information spread. Like, like things that you would never hear about, like that in Ohio, like we would have never heard about that train derailment. It would have never been a part of the news. Like TikTok was immediately in it. Like the news on TikTok is so fast and fluid.
That's what I think Twitter, if you do Twitter right, it is a great news source because you are getting like citizen updates. I mean, you got to filter out the nut jobs, but you're like getting real-time citizen updates from their school board meetings, like what they saw, videos around the world, real time, real people.
TikTok is times 10 of that with actual video. Like you can put your eyes on it.
It's not going to be banned, and I'll tell you why.
Won't.
Let me just say, in 2020, China did COVID on us. Our government tried to pretend like they didn't, went out of their way to lie to everybody, to tell them that they didn't, knowing full well they did. We probably paid for it. So there's a weird thing where we're like, we don't want to tell them because it's telling on ourselves. They did it. So you really think that our government, a large portion of our government, is concerned about like China having our information on their servers? No.
China has all our information. Yeah. And the government has all our information.
These are the same people that would ban.
This conversation right now, all of our private messages, like I wait every day for somebody to come and like throw a net over me because I talk about crazy things all day long that are really happening. So
the net's already there, by the way.
Such a lie. It's such a lie that it's because of China. Excuse. No, it's not because of China. It's because we absolutely have people on the ground saying, this is happening. Like the millions of people that are flooding the streets of Paris, like in France right now, that's not on the news. They're literally storming the streets.
Yeah, like
They're
you got to
not
go to you got to
baguettes.
go to social media to see what's going on, because the like mainstream news, even Fox News, is barely going to show you that Dutch farmers are every weekend they're like driving all their tractors to downtown in all their cities and just like creating, you know, like causing chaos and spraying manure
Not
on
talking
people,
about it.
like, because I think they're worried that like that's
Mainstream
what's going to
media
happen here. They're worried because people are going to start getting ideas here, and farmers here are going to be like, I didn't realize I could drive my tractor into downtown
farmers
Philadelphia.
here. 98% of our farmland has been
Yeah.
bought up by Bill Gates. So
That's
the
true.
farmers here are
These guys are
wanting
smart
to kill
because
you. Wanting to kill you.
they're smart because they eliminated all those individual farmers that would drive their tractors into a downtown city and cause havoc. They've eliminated most of them, or they have them so locked down because they have
There
to
was
buy
a
their
song
seeds.
in the
They
90s
have to
called
buy
Where
their,
Have All the Cowboys
they've got
Gone?
to buy their seeds. So if they start driving their tractor downtown to protest a law, Monsanto says, we're going to have to review your seed contract. We do not think we'll be selling you soybean seeds this year.
Just
And
so
if we
you
catch
know,
you using our soybean seeds, we will sue you into the ground. That's exactly what they do.
that part. Not only
It's really evil
because
on a large
no,
scale. Yeah.
no, to
Crazy.
have a crop, you have to have bees. And bees cross pollinate. So if you have a non-Monsanto farm and a Monsanto farm within a couple miles or whatever, those bees will cross pollinate. And if on a non-Monsanto farm you have cross pollinated, they fine you. So it's made the corn production and the soybean production in our country, they have to be genetically modified. With the Monsanto
Yeah, they
seeds,
can't because it's too risky to go organic. Yeah, it's too risky to just
not organic.
It's
like,
too risky
to grow
it's
corn,
too risky to plant your grandfather's corn.
But people don't know that. Like the way corn was grown by my people,
I think
you
that
took
people
the
don't.
very best of your crop and you planted those seeds. You aren't allowed to plant those seeds anymore. There are no best seeds.
You're allowed
Monsanto,
to,
you
but
have to buy
you're
seeds
not.
every year. No. A Monsanto seed you have to buy every year.
I know. I'm saying that they will, the same people that want to, that'll ban TikTok will pass a law in the United States that will allow a farmer to plant his grandfather's corn seeds, but also will allow that farmer to be sued into the ground when a bee cross pollinates. I'm saying the same, like these are terrible people that would ban TikTok, but then also pass a law that allows.
Like the majority of the people in this country don't understand that corn, which is in every single thing that is in your pantry. It's in your Chex Mix. It's in your Captain Crunch. It's in your macaroni and cheese. All of the corn and soy in this country, corn is 100% genetically modified and soy is 90% genetically modified. And because Monsanto has bought those seeds, they bought them 1 million years ago. It is like, that's all we're getting.
Yeah, the same people that will ban TikTok will never change that. Will never have the courage to, change these crazy.
It's a law. It's our law.
Well, they can change. No, like they can change the laws. I'm talking about the lawmakers that would ban TikTok.
Except for Clarence Thomas was on the Monsanto board before he was a justice. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's bad. It's gonna be hard to unwind.
I'm playing Kermit right now with the tea. I'm playing Kermit with the tea, but it's Quana with the beer.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yep.
Stand up, people.
Come on, humans. We gotta do better.
I don't know. And then people like they'll pass city ordinances where like people aren't allowed to have chickens. It's like they really want to make it to where you can't, like you have no choice.
You know what? Don't just stop eating. All right, please just stop.
They just want to like make it to where you just have no choice where you get your food from.
I live in a gated
I
community and I
think
went to
the
the wine night.
pharaohs did this, like kings and queens did this, like with like storing, like taking all the grain and storing it in the inside the castle walls or whatever. Like, yeah, it's like food, people's stomachs. Like you got to control that.
If you control
like-
the seed, you control the world. That is the oldest. And
I thought
guess
it
who
was. I thought it
controls
was
the
you gotta.
seed in our country? It's fucking Bill Gates, motherfuckers. Bill Gates controls the majority of the seed in our goddamn country.
I thought you were gonna
He's buying
say.
up all our farmland. Like, why
Yeah,
do you
he's bad,
not
yeah.
care about this?
I
Sorry.
care, but I don't
Very
think.
alarming.
I don't think people want to care. For the most
They
part, I
should
don't think they
know.
want to care.
They should know. I think majority of people don't know. They
If you
don't
think about,
know.
if you think about slavery in human history, one person, with the threat of whatever could control like 100 slaves. And those 100 slaves could just tear that person, like could easily tear that person apart, like,
1,000,000%.
yeah, maybe one of them gets whipped before they, rip the person's head off, but they don't do it.
I
They
think
don't
if
do
they
it.
ban TikTok, we're about to see that shit because there are millions of people on that app that's their living. Like they made their living on that app.
Well, I think that they will switch over quickly to YouTube and
They
Facebook.
won't.
Yeah, they will.
They're like not wanting to go to Meta. They're not wanting to do it. They're actually saying like delete your Meta account.
Do they want to be poor? I'm That's part of it. That's part of our culture. Is like no one wants to be poor. No, like we want to be able to buy stuff on Amazon. Anyway,
Ugh.
no,
Ugh.
I'm just here for it. That's all. I'm all right. We're gonna be all right.
Thank the Lord for cats. That's all I have to say.
Yep.
Their belly smells so good.
I don't know.
Unless
I think
until
maybe
the
in
earth eats us, at least.
there's a few small victories where they passed some law where you can sell raw milk across state lines again.
No, you can't.
Like we overturned an 1670 Amish law about milk, raw milk.
I cannot collect more than 48 ounces of water.
No, I'm talking about, this is very specific between Pennsylvania and Maryland. Like, sorry, Maryland, California and Idaho, you're all on your own or whatever.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
This is a very specific area where they've allowed the purchase, like people to exchange raw milk. Like weird.
It's the shit, people. Raw milk is the way to go.
I don't know. I just want to talk about freedom and liberty, like what it really means, people. Like, come on, re-examine. Anyway,
in my town, raw milk is expensive.
It's contraband. Like raw milk clubs, like underground raw milk. It's the underground raw milk railroad.
Yeah,
that's offensive. Stop it. Anyway, we should probably wrap up soon, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good time to.
I gotta go to the bathroom too.
Thank our supporters for just listening, subscribing, leave reviews, do the things, spread the word. We appreciate it. We have fun when we do this.
Yep. All right. So we're the Endless Ranters. We do what we want.
And we love that shit. Get it on.
Get it on.
Man, get it on.
Get it on, everybody.